Well, folks, we're back with part two, and here we go.
Okay.
This morning on Fox Financial, Peter Morici was one of the guests on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's an economist,
Yeah.
a very outspoken guy. And he said, I'm going to give some advice this morning to Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis.
Yep.
Okay, you're doing great. We know that things are going great in Florida, but you're on the national scene now. He said, I'm going to give you a list of things you better be prepared to talk about. In fact, you better start talking about them now so that everybody knows you're serious. And Dwayne, it's been the things that we've been talking about.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised.
Number one.
We're cutting edge.
Yeah, that's it. Number one, interest payments.
Mm-hmm.
That's the single largest expense of the federal government,
That's right.
is interest on our debt. Number two, entitlements. That's 2/3 of the federal budget is entitlements.
Yep.
Now, he says, I'm not saying that you're going to come out and cut entitlements, but you better figure out how we are going to finance them.
Yep.
Number three, the war in the Ukraine. We can't supply weaponry, and we can't replace the ammunition that they're using fast enough.
Fast enough. Yep.
So what's happening to our own stockpile for our own national defense?
Yep.
Talk about it.
Yep.
Number four, immigration reform. We have got to have a more intelligent approach to immigration because we need more workers. We're not producing enough workers.
No.
People are retiring faster than babies are being born.
He's absolutely right about that because we just talked about that, I think, the last show or so before. At one time, there was 5 or 6 jobs,
That's
six
right.
people for every job back in the 60s or 70s. Today, there's 4.5 or 5.5 jobs for each person available to fill it.
Welfare programs, which is kind of like what he was talking about, entitlements. The border. He said, you have got to have a cogent plan for the border because this administration has no plan for the border.
Plus, they got off on the wrong foot right off the day one. We'll take anybody who shows up. We'll give
Exactly.
Well, it didn't. It took 10 seconds for
Madness.
all of South America to hear that.
That's right.
Well,
Another 10
back it up.
seconds to get there.
Let's back it up. Well, let's go.
Crime.
Yep.
It is costing this country
Oh my God.
billions of dollars.
Yeah.
An energy policy. Taiwan, what are we going to do? Homelessness. He said, I could go on, but he said, these are the things you're going to be asked about.
Yeah.
When the press, especially the one with the knives, start asking you questions, you better have cogent answers.
And you got to respond nationally.
Yeah.
You cannot say, well, this is wherever I am or wherever.
And bottom line, you and I will way the hell ahead of the curve.
Of course, we're cutting edge.
Yeah. And I've often related it to the contract with America that Newt Gingrich had.
Yep.
That won that whole congressional election year. Was that contract. And it was, everything was spelled out in detail.
Yep.
Anyway, so I had some notes about Ron DeSantis. We just more or less talked about it.
Yep.
Attack on lawmaker. This is quite a story. Angie Carr, Democrat from Minnesota, was attacked. She spotted a man in the lobby of her Capitol Hill apartment building early one morning last week. He then allegedly followed her into the elevator and demanded she let him into her apartment. According to police reports, the man punched Craig in the face, grabbed her by the shoulder and collarbone. She threw her coffee at him and ran when the elevator stopped. This is every woman's nightmare, a moment alone in a place where you should feel safe, only to become prey to an assailant. It gets worse. The suspect, identified as Kendrick Khalil Hamlin, had 12 prior arrests and convictions. According to court documents, Hamlin, 27, was convicted in December on charges stemming from assaulting a police officer and committing lewd, indecent, or obscene acts. I got attacked by someone who the District of Columbia has not prosecuted fully over the course of almost a decade, over the course of 12 assaults before mine this morning, she told the newspaper. So she really goes on to say the people in D.C. are not doing the job. If you throw somebody in jail for 10 days and think that's your punishment, and we're going to let you right back on the street, what the hell you think is going to happen, she said.
Look at, when you see news articles like that, a lot of times they'll give what this person is, he's a frequent flyer when it comes to criminal activities, and they'll give it back some of the stuff he did, or she. But first question first question should be, why are they still on the street?
Yeah.
The one that 3 years ago when they got convicted for manslaughter, he shouldn't be out, but they are.
She said that this, if he's convicted, it'll be conviction number 13.
Yep.
And guess what happens finally at 13? You are designated an armed career criminal level 3. I think that means that you get a long term.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But even then, I don't have any confidence at all that this individual, I don't know him, I didn't even know the story, but just pure speculation, I wouldn't be surprised that, God, if we're still doing a show 3 years from now, he commits another crime because he didn't get locked up for this one.
While Craig called out D.C. for letting Hamlin out on the streets, this problem is nationwide.
Nationwide.
Criminals are too often treated as victims, and the concerns of actual crime victims dismissed. And Mayor Wu is poster girl for that.
Yeah.
Because they talked about violent assaults, and she said, we have got to talk to the people who are doing these assaults and say to them, why are you so angry? What can we do to make you curb your anger? Never mind there's a guy in the hospital with all kinds of injuries.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We have... The people making these decisions have no consequences for the decisions they make.
Exactly.
You and I, in our daily life, are responsible for our actions. If we run a stop sign and hit somebody, we're responsible.
That's right.
If we do something that's negligent, we can be sued. We're responsible.
Yeah.
The legal system, with judges and court, whatever they call them, arbitrators and all that.
Yeah.
There's no consequence. That judge could let somebody go and tomorrow he shoots somebody. There's no consequences for him.
None.
None.
I'll tell you, it is maddening. Speaking of maddening, I'm skipping around here.
All right.
The MBTA mess.
Well,
do you know that Trump had a bill about doing business with China, and it forbid China to bid on cars like this for railroads, because that was part of national defense, the
Right.
railroad system. Richard Neal, rep from Western Massachusetts, as that bill was getting finalized, put an amendment in the dead of the night, allowing this Chinese company to build a facility in Springfield and take this order.
This is a company, this Chinese, they have never built a
That's
railroad car
exactly
in their life.
That's exactly right.
Now, I might be naive, but I'm not that damn naive to think that there wasn't something coming back to somebody somewhere.
I'm telling you right now there was, bud. Absolutely. It had to be. So, guess what? They are so far behind that they're never ever going to catch up. But this has been going on since December of 2014 when we placed the initial purchase order
Yep.
with these people. And here we are, and they haven't even shipped a third
That's right.
of the product.
And then the ones they do ship are defective.
Well, you're gonna like this. This morning's paper. New tea train falls
Sitting on
off truck.
Sitting on the side of the road. That's all.
It was being transported on the Mass Pike at midnight or so when traffic was low. Well, 2 lanes were closed. It had to change lanes. It fell off the truck, the flatbed.
It is just a comedy of errors. And I don't even call them errors. It's and comedy is a bad word too, I guess. But it's just a conglomeration of poor management, and nobody seems to care about that. There were stories about people, they've stopped working on a thing because they couldn't get a part. So they just sat down and waited months and months and months. Didn't do a damn thing.
This is unbelievable. I mean, this obviously is going to have to be junked. I mean, it's lost its integrity, bouncing off.
Oh, yeah.
So here we go. Here's another one. So of the 4 that were shipped, 1's gone down the drain. 3 steps forward, 1 step back. But this has been the story through the whole thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
No,
but,
it's
there
nuts.
is, it goes after
Yeah.
day by day here on all the screw ups.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, another story in the paper this morning, and I think this is something you and I should take a long, hard look at, buddy.
What might that be?
Maura Healey is having trouble getting a general manager, top man for the MBTA.
Yep.
Well, I think perhaps the pay has got something to do with the problem. She can't find anybody that'll work for $300,000.
It's not a pity.
Boy, oh boy. I think they're going to have to, bang it on up. But can you imagine that?
No.
And they can't find anybody. Well, they probably can't find a card-carrying, left-wing, radical Democrat that already doesn't have a good job.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But a regular guy that's non-political, well, we can't find one of those.
Well, we always bought into previous problems, make them current problems. Think back, Bill, on how many companies or anything of the state, the idea of a national search was just foreign to them here in the state here. They always picked somebody down, the next guy down or a couple of down, and he's coming with a lot of baggage already. You never went for, if they had a national search, then they would have this ridiculous parameters that nobody could meet. You know, like you had to have a house in Brookline.
Yeah, exactly.
This happens to the guy they want has a house in Brookline.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, sure, absolutely. I mean, the national searches by the Massachusetts department heads is a farce.
It's totally, it is. That's
Total
exactly what it is.
Total farce. I'll tell you a story afterwards, off camera. Absolutely, just I heard it this morning. Just boggles my mind. But anyway, so there was a big article in the paper this morning also that I cut out. Black clergy call for peace, and they vow to be agents of hope. Well, God bless them. I hope they can pull it off.
You haven't been able to yet.
Law enforcement doesn't appear to be able to do anything. Social agencies are not getting much done. The educational system isn't doing squat. So maybe returning to God and trying to instill religious values, I mean, that's what they got away from. That's what, as a country, we got away from. And look at the price we're paying for it. So I hope and pray these black ministers are able to reach their neighborhood, the folks that are actively doing bad things.
Yeah.
But reach everybody in the neighborhood with a message that says we're making a mess of our lives here. You know, our kids aren't getting educated. Our kids are spending inordinate amount of times in prison. Lives are being ruined. This is just terrible. We want everyone in this country to prosper. We want everyone to be successful. I don't know of anybody that really wishes somebody would go down the drain.
No, of course not.
But darn it all, if you're killing each other on the streets, peddling dope on the streets, hooking on the streets, and this is how you're living, what are your chances
Yeah.
of prospering? So if these ministers can work, God bless them. But I really think, and it says in here, they're going to reach out to all religions for help in this. And I hope we're able to do something.
It would be great if we could.
But until we stop the snitch mentality,
Yeah.
we are never, when you read something in the paper and it says two 18-year-olds or two 17-year-olds killed on the streets of Mattapan or on the streets of Roxbury or the South End, the people in the neighborhood know who killed those kids. They know there's a drug war going on. They know somebody was dissed. They know somebody stole somebody else's sneakers. They know who the shooter is. But the whole battle cry in the community is you don't snitch
I saw that.
to the police.
Oh yeah, this was back when gangs were first start coming out. I think it was L.A. someplace.
Yeah.
There was a shooting on the street, and the policeman. All these people are standing around. He says, "All right," he says, "I know a bunch of you saw what happened. None of you will come forward and say anything." He says, "It's all right. I'm going home tonight. You have to live here."
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was
Have you ever watched any TV programs called 48 Hours?
yeah.
Those are good. They tend to get all to be the same, but they're still good.
Yeah.
Good shows. And what's the takeaway? My takeaway was, if it weren't for people calling up with tips,
oh my God.
none of the crimes would ever get solved.
I think 80% of the murders, or 80-some% of the murders, are resolved by somebody dropping a dime.
That's
somebody
right.
telling somebody.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no question about it.
So this works. You know, it's that they've got to infiltrate the consciences of the community and say, look, you got to tell us. We'll never release your name and all. However, there's a problem there. They don't trust the police,
That's right.
and with good reason. What have the police really ever done for the black community? I would say that not a whole hell of a lot. The policing is a problem.
Oh, it has been in the past.
Yep. Maybe the new bunch of young men and women are going to be able to break down those barriers and communicate. We can hope.
The only thing we got to be careful of, and we do that, we as society today, is we make excuses.
Yep.
Well, he's doing that because
Yep.
of this, and something not related, but it sort of justifies what he's doing. Instead of saying he's a bad character, a bad actor, we won't do that. We've always got another excuse. When you start justifying it, then the problem just gets worse.
There's a phony argument, okay? And it is, do you know that, I don't know what the exact number is, but 75% of the murder convictions in this state are black men.
It's higher than that. I don't know about this state.
Yeah.
I remember the Ed Koch's press conference
Yeah.
that he had when New York City was going through a spate of murders.
Well, you know, and that's an excuse. But why is it? Well, it's because 90% of the shootings are done by blacks.
Yeah.
Black on black crime is up in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest single cause of death in
Yeah.
a young black male is another black male.
That's right. Yeah.
You're not supposed to say that though.
I know,
You're supposed
but we
to
can't talk
find,
about that.
If you
And-
don't talk about these things and we don't bring them out, you can never solve them.
You know, and I don't like to hop on this all the time because I don't want anyone to get the idea that either you or I are racist.
No. Just
But damn it all, if we don't talk about this,
if you don't be a realist about this, you're not going to
And-
get rid of it.
well, listen, how do you solve a problem if you're afraid to confront a
If
problem?
you
can't
can't
do it.
identify it, you can't
No.
solve it. That's just that simple.
But to make excuses that are absurd and expect people to believe these excuses, it's madness. Now, I must admit that I'm brokenhearted sometimes when I see a mother sobbing about her son being convicted of murder 1 and facing life in prison. My little boy. Well, your little boy picked up a gun and blew out somebody's brains with it. Okay? But the tragedy of that is that it happens too many times in inner city communities.
Well, of course.
And it's we become, I think we become used to these stories.
Yeah, we're immune to the impact of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's no longer a tragedy. When 3 people are killed on a sidewalk in a drive-by shooting, that 20 years ago was headlines.
Oh my God!
Now-
It stayed. Now it's 20 minutes.
That's it, exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
a 2-minute thing on the 6 o'clock news, and that's the end of it.
Exactly, and then maybe a follow-up when the guy is arrested for doing
Maybe.
it. Maybe.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then they're on to the next tragedy.
Another thing that, and this, I don't know why some of these things, you get certain things that you just kind of irritate you. But and again, we're going by the press release or press things in the paper. A 15-year-old, 14-year-old, 12, 16 gets shot or hurt or something, 3 o'clock in the morning, a 14-year-old. What the hell is a 14-year-old doing 3 o'clock in the morning on the street?
I don't know. I can't control them.
Yeah. And then if something happens to him, and then the wailing, oh my God,
My
he
baby.
got killed out in the street. But he was 12, 13 years old running on the street.
It was a bunch of kids wilding
Yeah, that's another
the other day.
Yep.
It's like the cops rounded them up. They got some of them.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest one, 11 years old.
Yeah,
They were assaulting people,
that's right. I saw that.
knocking old people down, hitting them in the heads with bottles. Yeah, 11 years old. Now, you know what? I know the little rascals are precocious, and I know they grow up fast. But that little boy should get or girl, should get her bottom warmed.
Yeah, but it won't.
But they won't,
They won't,
because there's no father around.
Yeah, there's nobody to discipline.
And that's to me, it all goes back to the breakdown of the family unit.
Oh yeah.
You can trace all of this back. Now, how do we put the family unit back together again? Well, I hope these clergymen have a strong message and are able to.
Would be great if they did, wouldn't
That's right. And God loved them for trying. Because too many people are just saying, don't talk to me about that stuff. I don't want to hear it. At least they're going to try to do something. But it's been tried before.
Yeah, and so I
Let's hope for the best.
yeah, we remember the stop and search or whatever they called
Yeah.
it.
Stop and frisk.
Stop and frisk.
Yeah.
That was it. That worked.
Of course it did.
But some of these same religious leaders, all of a sudden says you can't do that. You're stopping our young men.
right. Yep.
Well, there's a reason they're stopping them.
Because they're out there doing bad things, or they got a big metallic lump
Yeah.
underneath their
You can see
jacket.
the butt of their 40,
Yeah.
40 caliber sticking out of their
Yeah.
pocket.
And it's not a power drill.
That's right.
You're right. I mean, I think that stop and frisk should be part of the arsenal the police use to combat crime. I really and truly do. I don't see anything wrong with it. If I'm on the street at 2 o'clock in the morning acting
right.
suspiciously, now, problem comes
I know where you're going.
when the cops start batting them around.
Yeah. That-
But then again, the other side of the coin is when they act up and start assaulting the cops, what the hell are the cops supposed to do? And so what the bottom line becomes? Leave the kids alone.
My son and a couple of his roommates, when they lived in Brighton before he got married, when he got out of college, and they used to go in the clubbing and all that kind
Sure.
of crap all the time, like young kids do. And they're coming more than once. He said they're coming home, and where they were going and where they were living, they had to go through an area that was not the best. And he said we've been stopped, several times, and it was always, what are you three white kids doing in this neighborhood? This is a big druggy neighborhood. Right away they said there's something wrong here. Why are you walking the street at 2 o'clock in the morning in this neighborhood? And they said, well, we're going home from that. Well, all right, but they stopped them because they were misplaced, so to speak.
And that is a perfect example of something.
Yep.
Black kids talk about being stopped because they're black.
Yep.
Plenty of white kids stopped
Yeah, because
for
they're
being white.
in a black neighborhood or a
That's right.
drug neighborhood. Exactly right. That's because he said it's been, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 times he said they would stop us. But he said, when we thought about it, it was good that they did. It means that they were caring at those neighborhoods, that they were actually trying to clean them up.
Yep. So progress comes in strange fashion.
Yeah.
But that to me, that's a positive that
Yeah,
they
when
were
you
stopped.
when a policeman can see something out of order, there's something wrong, and take some action. That's not bad.
Absolutely right. No, I agree with you 100%. An interesting piece in the Herald. Biden ignores deplorables.
Wait a minute, weren't we deplorable?
Remember the deplorables of Hillary Clinton?
Hillary Clinton, yeah, because
Yes.
we kind of named ourselves deplorables after
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, Ohio is a Republican state.
Mm-hmm.
Biden is sort of ignoring this train disaster, is Battenfeld's point. And I think there's something to it. I really do.
I have another, it's not a different, it's a little different take on that. I think, I don't mean, I don't know what ignore means, but if that means he didn't show up, good. Keep them people out of these disaster areas. When they step into that area, everything stops.
And
It-
yep.
they gotta take care of Biden or Trump or whoever the hell it was.
And protect them.
Protect them, and they can't move. They can't bring anything in. That whole day is shot, or maybe 2 days, because you got to prep for him, and you got all this stuff. You got no damn business, and you're just sightseeing.
They are there for one reason,
Click, click, click. That's right.
for a photo op.
Exactly.
Yep. Did you see the pictures of Biden over in Poland? That was choreographed. Him and
Oh, yeah.
Zelensky together. And it was a perfect backdrop of that big building there in
yeah,
Kiev.
it's-
I mean, that was the reason for that trip.
Yeah.
Those pictures will, in the fall of 2024, will be on TV
Oh, you'll see 'em
over
again.
and over and over about our war hero president going over there and now. With that said and done, I have got some concerns about that. And here's an article. Associated Press. Biden shores up Western allies as Putin digs in. Now, this is just an opinion kind of column.
Okay.
It's factual, but it's
Yeah, I
written
know,
by
I know.
two guys.
Yeah.
It's an opinion. The flexing of alliances was a fresh indication that both sides are digging in for prolonged conflict in Ukraine, with the fighting expected to intensify with the arrival of spring. Now, you heard that.
Yep.
What did Biden say when he was over there? We are with you forever.
Yep.
We will always be backing you. Is that what we're facing? Is another year of this or 2 years of this fighting?
I would think so.
Because I don't think the American people are going to buy it. Now, I realize that right now, suing for peace is a fool's errand. Because, number one, it's going to show real weakness, and it's going to show impatience on our part. And Putin is going to say, I'm wearing them down.
Yeah. I take 3 steps forward. I got to take
Yep.
one back, but I'm still 2 ahead. Yeah, but there's another thing's going to happen here, and this is just my own idea, is that the press is going to get tired of it, and they're not going to report everything, and this country is just going to go, oh yeah, it's something going on over in Ukraine. We don't know what it is anymore. 'Cause the press is going to move you on to something else. The next.
Well,
disaster,
knowing how the
du jour.
press works in this country and what side of the equation they're on, you may have something.
Yeah, the attention span is I'm amazed it lasted a year now.
Jerry Baker is the retired I forget exactly what his title was, with the Wall Street Journal. Brilliant guy, and he's going to show on Fox on Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9:30. Wall Street Journal reports, and he's English, and he speaks just perfect English.
Of course.
But he writes a column also in the Wall Street Journal, and he said, here are 4 messages that we need the president to speak and address to, or that we need the American people to know about. Number 1, to the Ukraine. This money drain and military equipment gift package can't last forever. Start working on some sort of a solution. To Putin, your war effort has been a disaster. You are no longer a world power. Get set to seek an end to this mess. To the Europeans, the U.S. has done all the heavy lifting and financed 3/4 of this war effort. You folks have talked and little else.
Yeah.
Number 4, to the American people. We need to wind this down honorably. We then need to rebuild our weaponry and our military quickly, as we have used up a ton of supplies. So we need to shut this conflict down, and if it means a Cold War with China and Russia, so be it. I think he's got the right idea.
Yeah, well, you have to do something. You cannot go on and on and on and
The
on
American
forever.
people are not going to stand for
No,
it.
it won't.
I don't think. You're already seeing the people.
Yeah.
And once that death of 1,000 cuts starts, remember what happened with Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
When that fell out of favor. So,
The only thing I kind of expected there would be more pushback in Russia among the Russians. But he's very good, Putin, is very good at tampering down any kind of dissent.
I wonder.
But there might be stuff that
That's
we don't
right.
know
That's
because he's
exactly-
capped off the news source
Yeah.
very effectively.
He has. Now,
Because they got really tired of like Afghanistan too.
yeah. in Chechnya,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there was, some real rumblings
Because
going on.
remember when this first started, the body count started going up, and he had said, well, no conscripted individual will be sent to Ukraine. But that wasn't true. They were dying by the thousands over there, and they were just slaughtered. All of a sudden there was some pushback, and then it just stopped. I don't think it really stopped. I think we just stopped hearing about it.
Yeah. I think so too. I really do. Um,
And I think he's going to, from what I've seen and read in the past few weeks, he's having fallen out with this Wagner group now.
You're absolutely right. There's a piece in the paper about that.
Was there?
Yeah. The Wagner group is kind of fed up with him too.
Yeah, I mean, he might have a tiger that he can't get off of with the Wagner group.
As the Wagner group points out, what are we supposed to do? Throw snowballs at them?
Yeah.
Where's the ammo? Where's the equipment? What are you giving us the old crap for?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Ike de Bloom is off that rose. Now, a U.S. general, retired, said this. He said Putin is in tough shape at home.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about that
Yeah.
at all.
And he he showed that he's very weak at home, because if he were serious about winning this and continuing this, he should have taken Biden out.
Yeah.
But he knew he probably couldn't do it. They lack the intelligence. They lack the wherewithal to do an operation like that.
Yeah.
He said, so that tells you one thing. And he said, they also know that we have the wherewithal, the knowledge, and the intelligence to immediately take him out.
Yeah. But he knows that right now.
That's right.
Because I read something. He's got, like, they call it miles of protection around him. He doesn't speak in public anymore without, everybody is screened and they're far away and there's all kinds of bulletproof stuff. I mean, really, we all will do that with all our leaders. But I mean, he goes to the extreme.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you couldn't even get within a mile of this guy without being vetted.
Cruise missile can, though.
Yeah. But because he knows that he's going to be a threat, or
Oh,
he's
yeah.
going to, he will be threatened
Yeah.
as this goes on.
Oh,
Somebody's
absolutely.
going to, yeah.
Yeah, and not necessarily by the U.S.
No.
but
Could
if
be internal. That's what they. Well, see, that's the job of the CIA.
a strong. Well, I guess what the general was saying, he's in a weak position.
Mm-hmm.
A strong Russia would have said, "I'll bring this thing to a head. I'll take him out.
Yeah.
He's got no business pulling this stuff." Which I was surprised it didn't. It wasn't more brought up or talked about.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that
15
if
of them.
I were a presidential advisor, I would have said, yeah, go ahead over there. I don't think I would have advised that. That's a war zone.
What really surprised me in this whole conflict was the efficiency and the strength of the Russian military. We've been led to believe that these guys were the creme de la creme when it came to military operations. They're bumbling idiots
They are.
with equipment from back in the 40s and 50s, a lot of it.
Think World War II equipment. Yeah.
And I when they started getting these defeats, I said, how the hell can you looked at the trucks and stuff they were using. My God, the things were like old Willies someplace back from World War II surplus.
They're rolling out World War II tanks
Yeah.
that they've got mothballed.
And
Those must be great.
their strategic operations were just pathetic.
Their intelligence is non-existent. You're right.
When you have
They-
to start going to Iran to come up to get drones,
Yeah.
you're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
And China to
Yeah.
produce munitions for them. Yeah, look, they're inept.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They always have been, and they're not getting any better.
And they still got that descending command structure that says here, 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 but nobody can move up and down in between. If the platoon sergeant gets killed, there's nobody to step up. The corporal in that platoons are not trained to do that. They're told not to. That platoon sergeant was God. He decided whatever it was.
Rigid discipline.
Rigid discipline, exactly.
There's one other thing I'd like to get to.
In fact, that's what Kelsey Grammer, the Tuesday night on that show, so the British had that same problem.
Yeah.
The Patriots or the U.S. They found that shoot the leaders first. Nobody will step up. They just fall into disarray then.
Well, you know, what's interesting is the Russians have always felt that when we are in a war and we capture like a division, division falls or something along those lines, you kill all the officers.
Yeah.
Because they feel that by doing that, you destroy totally
Well, that's their
the
fault.
ability of the division to function.
that's right.
because
That's how
is-
they function.
That's how they function.
Exactly.
And they can't see the other side of the coin.
Yep.
And Stalin very famously said,
He killed off the officer corps, and he had
Yeah.
nobody left.
right. And he told his right-hand man, was it Beria?
I don't know.
Anyway, when Beria said, to what level do I go down killing the officer corps? And Stalin said, it is better to kill too many
Yeah,
than not enough.
Right.
Than to leave one that should have been killed, or something of that nature. So, we're getting an interesting situation here with on talk radio. I'm fascinated here by phooey, that's not what I wanted. What's going on Sports Hub. Now, in the Red Sox games last year, Tony Maserati, Maz, who's been a baseball writer in town and is on the most popular sports calling show.
That's the guy that he got suspended, right?
Yeah.
For the week, yeah.
For insensitive
Yeah.
words. Well, Maz, exposed himself on television for being very negative. And, well, anyway, to make a long story short, the Red Sox put out a one-line press release saying he will not be retained next year as a color commentator. So he's back on the radio again. He is foul-mouthed. My wife says to me,
10 bill. 10.
Okay. My wife said to me, if you hate these shows so much, why do you listen to them? So I don't know, I get in the car, I turn the radio on, and there they are. And what else am I going to listen to?
Well, I wouldn't listen to them if it's going to be pablum. If they're just going to say, yeah, and everybody agrees with everybody, there's nothing controversial going on, I'm not going to listen to you.
They're yelling and screaming all
Well,
the
I
time.
know they do. That's why that's the kind of guy I'll
it's a shtick, I think.
Well, it has to be.
Yeah. So Maz said some things about to Felger, Mike Felger. There was two guys in back of Mike Felger that were black.
Black, that's right.
And Maz said, you better watch them. They stole your car the last time you were down there, or something like that. Them. Now, was that? I can't understand that. Was that racial hatred, or was that sheer stupidity?
Sheer stupidity.
Exactly.
Because that's the kind of thing, when I see that, I think, how dumb could you be?
That's right.
In today's climate, you just, why do you do that? It's like you get some teacher bringing in some controversial subject, some experiment or something. Well, I wanted the kids to explore. You know damn well that's going to blow up in your face. If you don't, you should have.
Yeah.
It's just stupidity is what it is.
It is indeed. And you know what? And then Maserati. I wish I could take those words back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and now he's groveling. Instead of saying, look, I didn't mean it. All right, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Jeepers creepers. Are we going completely crazy here?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If I'm over on the other side and I'm black, yeah, I'd probably talked off about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you know that Maz is an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
But both sides, just what you bring up, both sides, one acts stupid and the other one acts completely offended.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody that's not offended about something today. That's gotten so worn out that, for the most part, other than a few ultra sensitives or think they are, the people they're not paying all that much attention, I think, anymore, some of it.
Probably not. You're probably right. I think so. But this sort of stuff. Now, here's the part. You used one of my favorite words earlier in the show, hypocrite.
Hypocrite. I tell you, that's one of my 4 big words I know. I don't know anymore.
Well, it's
And
a
I'm not
good
even
one.
sure about that one.
So the show suspends them for a week.
Yeah.
And
Well, see, they have to. If they don't do that, then somebody else going to be offended because they didn't get offended.
part 2, he's going to receive sensitivity training.
That's right.
Well, I'm sensitive. All right? And one of the favorite words that Maz uses when he's upset or mad or criticizing somebody is Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
Where is the radio management then?
They're not.
How offensive is that? Well, unfortunately, it's not insensitive to enough people, I guess.
Yep.
But it offends the hell out of me.
That's right.
And that's when I turn the station off. And he's always doing that. And also, by the way, the F word. Isn't it interesting that by changing like one letter, you say it in a different word, but you mean
Well, of course.
that? Well, if you had any guts at all, you'd say the word and let the chips fall where they may, because that's what you're trying to put across.
That's right. Legally, you can do it today.
Where is station management there? Our ratings are the highest in Boston.
Ratings, they live or die by the ratings.
And you know why? Because they can ratchet up the cost of the ads
course.
to the advertisers. Instead of $250 for an insertion for a minute, it's $350.
Yep. When you
Because we're reaching twice as many people
that's right.
as we
That's
do.
exactly live and die by that.
So it's money.
That's right.
All of it is money.
Yeah.
And Felga is just as bad, by the way, as Maz. They're both, as far as I'm concerned, they should both be deported. By the way,
Wait, speaking of money, I want to ask you a question. Your opinion. Some lucky individual in Maine just hit megabucks for a 1.35 million or billion.
billion.
That's 1,350 million. He takes it in one lump sum of $723,564,144 versus taking it over 30 years.
Yep.
Now I thought, 30 years, how much is that? That's 45 million a year, taking it over 30. What would Bill Crane do?
Bill Crane is 82 years old.
Well, that's the next. That's
If Bill Crane were 24,
yeah.
I would take the 45 mil.
Yeah, you
because
can't-
I couldn't spend 4 million, let
You
alone
couldn't
45
spend
million.
even if you were 20 some years old, you're going to have trouble spending 45 million.
Yeah.
Maybe not the first year or two. Yeah, you buy a $10 million estate here and a $2 million, $3 million. Pretty soon it's gone. But next year there's another 45 million, and then do I need another estate? Well, I might buy one here. But after 3, 4, 5 years, you bought everything. What are you going to do now?
Exactly. And I've got 2 cars. Now I get a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have, what are we going to do? Build more garages and buy more
I mean,
cars?
like Jay Leno and have a collection, you know.
No, then I would start a foundation and try to do good things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing you can do.
Yeah. But it would work out well, I think, over the long run for charities rather than to give lumps.
Yeah.
And they get hit with a huge lump, which is great. But some of these charities are going to say, what in the name of God are we going to do with these things?
Yeah, you're right. But I just want to know when Bill Crane hits it, what we're gonna see
If
here.
Bill Crane hits it, he's going to take the lump.
He's going to say, I know.
Because I've already cheated the folks that figure out longevity. I mean, men are supposed to die now at the latter part of the 77th year.
Yep.
I mean, let's say 78. So I'm 4 years past that. I'm living on borrowed time. I'm healthy, and I'm not complaining. But by the same token, I would take the lump and try to figure out what good I can do with it over a couple of years.
Yeah.
And set that down and take care of my kids.
But even a lump, good Lord.
Oh,
Who would you give it to be responsible for handling it?
I know. I know. You give a couple of million to Catholic charities.
No, I mean for investment or
Oh,
for controlling it. For.
oh, you go to Fidelity or to
Yeah, well,
Vanguard, and you'd say, I have an embarrassment of riches.
That's what it is.
Set up a program for me. Well, what do you want to accomplish, Mr. Crane? And then, what do I want to accomplish?
I don't know.
That's
You got to keep anonymous, though. If there's some people know who he is, but I understand these people just can go through hell if they get
you got to, yeah.
they
I
get
mean, you're going to have every single guy
40,
that
50,000
ever-
pieces of mail come in a
Yeah.
day. The post office can't even handle it. People coming out of the woodwork. The
It's
security-wise, my God, you almost have to hire a security force.
unbelievable. You know, one of the things I wanted to get to, we'll have to talk about it next time. The United Kingdom is experimenting with a 4-day
Four-day work week.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, the town of Norfolk went to 4-day work week. Now, they have 10 hours. So that's 40 hours.
Yep.
I wonder if that's more efficient than if. I think the people like it.
I had an
better.
account years ago before this became popular or even heard of, which was Emery Waterhouse in Portland, Maine. They own trustworthy hardware stores. They were a 4-day work week, and they were tight on 4 days. It's not like, well, we're 4 days, but everybody comes in on Friday anyway. The place was locked up. Nobody came in on Friday. And they were in a 10-hour day, 10 hours a day, and it worked very well for them.
Wonderful. Once the people get to know it and accept
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. I just knew you couldn't
That's
call
it.
them on Friday.
Yeah. Oh, my word. Well, you know, I don't even have one more little thing to talk about.
I
don't
do.
think.
Just one thing. I
Well,
think
lay it on me.
we had a passing this week of a man that I would like to see on TV. That was Bill Shields,
Okay.
the reporter for
Yes.
Channel 4. He was, I want to say, not comfortable, but when he started speaking, you listened. Because when he said stuff, it made sense. He was the kind, he wasn't excitable, he wasn't anything else. And he had been there for 30, 40 years
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. He'd been on TV for
Yep.
a long time.
And he was one of the better ones. But
You know,
we
there-
also lost Spencer, the marathon dog.
Okay. Oh, Spencer.
The
Oh, wow.
not lab, golden retriever.
Golden Retriever.
He was the nicest looking dog, but strangers would come up to him. He was always the friendliest thing.
Yeah.
He died of cancer, unfortunately. So we had two losses this week.
My word. Well, by gosh, by golly. Well, we'll miss them both.
Yep.
So, folks, we really didn't get into our piles of stuff here we wanted to talk about, but we found things to talk about
Yep.
anyway. So, tell you what. Why don't you come on back in a couple of weeks and we'll do it all over again?
Yeah,
Yep.
no more deep freezes, no more heavy snowstorms, and we'll be in another couple of weeks. We should be just about
Yeah.
sliding downhill with
Yeah,
with a few.
I'd say February can be tough, though.
March,
Ooh.
I know, but March.
Yeah.
I remember the last day of March storm.
Yeah. I'm not ready to
We
give
sat
up
all we
our-
sat all night on Interstate 84 and over by Sturbridge in the car on the road. Stopped.
I was out in Phoenix, Arizona, and I couldn't get a flight back.
Back, I'm not
for
surprised.
3 or 4 days.
Yep.
That was tough duty.
Yep.
But, well, listen, folks, we'll see you next time. And hopefully, you're right, we'll be heading towards St. Patty's Day.
Yep. There you go.
And
All right.
back in the old days, I used to take the snow tires. I'd take the day off from
That
work.
was the day, huh?
Take the snow tires off the car, and in the afternoon get drunk.
There you go.
That
All
was
right.
my,
Be kind, be safe.
and be back.
That's right.
That's it. All right, folks. Bye.